Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She is actually helping heal people one horse at a time. That sounds a little strange, but that's what she does. Yeah, she incorporates horses to help people heal from traumas, challenges in their life, even anxiety, whatever it might be. Her website is one Neigh at a time, as in horse, and she's Kathy Slagter, and she's back with us. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, thank you for having me. Yes,
I
love having the horses be a part of my healing journey. And more than that, I love sharing them with others. So yes, thank you for having me on.
One of these days, we have to do a broadcast from the barn, a barn cast.
A barn cast. I like that. Yes.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. And it's so interesting that where you are, it's kind of rainy and cold. Where I am, it's kind of rainy and cold. I mean, we're in the spring season, but you're going to have those days. But we're going to change it up. And we're going to make it positive. We're going to talk about finding your happiness. And what is your happiness, right?
Yeah, I always thought happiness came from a bottle. So I'm in recovery. That's part of what I do, and who I work with a lot too is people in addiction recovery or alcohol or drugs or whatever it is that you're trying to recover from, grief, depression. It can be all that. But what I've been through is alcohol depression and alcoholic behavior. And oh my gosh, when I thought happiness came from a bottle, 110%, I didn't think that you could have happiness in your life without, for me, it was vodka, without vodka in my cup and in my body and making me feel joyful, making me feel happy, I believed in it so much. I even pushed it on to my kids and how they should be happy at a very, very young age. I taught them what I thought happiness was. And, I wish I could go back over those years and try it again and do it differently and see if my kids, ended up in a different space. But of course I can't. I have two children that are, in recovery myself, and I have another one that is not. So out of three kids, I have two of them that are in recovery. So here we are, whether my journey, I was the first one to go into it, whether my journey gave them hope for their own, I hope so. I taught them how to drink, and hopefully I'm teaching them how to be sober too.
So I have to ask, Kathy, your parents, were they drinkers as well?
No. I think I saw my mom and dad probably have an alcoholic beverage maybe 10 times in my young years. Later on in their life, they might have had a few more beers here and there, but my dad died when I was 32. But my mother has, she has a glass of wine here and there, but it's not a part of their life. I never saw them sitting with their friends having alcohol. I don't know why it became such a big, powerful part of my life. I mean, I saw my parents have fun. I saw them enjoy their life. We had a cabin. I saw them laugh. I saw them play cards, games, they had the bingo. That was one of their big things. Gambling. They did it all without alcohol. I don't know why. I happen to be, there's four of us in my family, and I'm the only one that's an alcoholic. The other ones, a couple of them drink but none of them fell like I did into the spiral of that's the only way to survive. That's, it became a part of my life. It started to rule me instead of me ruling it. Not, I came to a point in my life where I had to have it in my body because of my shakes and the way I was, my body reacted to it. And gosh, they say, this is a cute little saying, I think, that once you become a pickle, you can never go back to being a cucumber. So, what does that mean? Once I became so addicted to alcohol, I can never go back to just having a couple drinks. So I know that if I choose to if I have a crap day, a really bad day, a really bad month, a really bad year, and for some oddball reason I choose that alcohol is my answer, I will go back to exactly where I was, if not worse, within probably a month. I'll say a month, and it could even be as close as as soon as a week. That my body will start shaking. I will need it. I'll just dive into it. I know deep down into my soul that one is not enough for me. And it's not something that the AA Bible has told me. It's not something that my God Bible has told me. It's not something that a friend has told me. It's just something I know deep within my soul, that one drink will never, never, never be enough for me. It never was, and it never will be. And I have to remember that. That's why, being present in my life, being active and aware and happy in my life,
Sure.
is such a powerful thing for me. And, it has to flow through me so that I have that desire to continue on this journey. I'm so afraid that if I start falling backwards, falling into despair or depression or, sadness or something like that, I'll choose to drink to find my happiness again, because I got sober at 50 some years old. I drank at 16. That's a long time believing that alcohol is the way to happiness and joyfulness and fun and all those kind of things. So, I've been sober for 10 years, but I'm still fighting that battle sometimes. I still want to give in to that true desire to find happiness in a different way than work for it.
Yeah. Well, it's also finding your happiness. And do I have that answer? No, I don't know. What makes me happy might not make you happy. What makes me happy? I'm not really sure sometimes. I don't know.
Right.
But I can tell you this, in my journey, and somebody said this to me, I'll remember the text. It was October of 2020. And it said, habit doesn't equal happiness. Doesn't always equal happiness. So what is that? Every day you reach for a bottle because it became a habit. It's not real happiness. Maybe in your mind it's happiness. Staying in a marriage, that may not be working. Hey, you think it's okay. Every day you kind of do the same thing. Everything is okay. Are you really, really happy?
Right.
That would be the question. Same thing with a job. We go to work every day. Every day is kind of the same, kind of habitual type situation. Does it equal happiness? Maybe, maybe not. So maybe there's something there to think about. I know I have that text and I never forgot. I did a screenshot, and it's like, when I think of the changes that I made in the last year, pretty big, and I'm not done yet.
We're never done, right?
Yeah. I'll share this because what you just said, I gave an analogy to a friend that, in my situation right now, I'm a coffee cup and I'm kind of floating, and, I'm going to get to shore. And he said, yeah, you know what? I'm never going to get to shore because life is always changing. It's always moving around. And that's
right. The waves will change. The direction of the waves will change.
Of course. And maybe you don't want to get to that shore. Maybe you want to, because maybe that's more exciting. Maybe, you're just that's not a bad thing. You don't have to touch the ground,
right. And you might get to shore, but then a wave might come and throw you back out into the ocean again. So
you didn't plan on that. Or you might get to shore and think that's a sure thing. And you're like, well, I don't know, let me get back out there.
Yeah. So Gestalt is the awareness of your moments, awareness of being whole in your moments, all those things. And, we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Right. We don't even know what 2 minutes from now is going to bring.
Totally.
So, what is happiness in your moment? As you and I both said earlier, today is not a very happy day. I just got off an AA meeting. I do still go to them too. I just got off an AA meeting, and the topic in that was happiness. And almost everybody complained about the weather and what's going on. And, I was one of them too that complained. And I'm also in the background as everybody else is talking. It's hitting me, you know, there's so much worse things going on in the world that, you know, weather is definitely something we can't control. And how many times do you try to control your happiness by a thing? Like mine was vodka, or it could be, gosh, I just need to move. I hate Michigan. I'm in Michigan. I hate Michigan at this moment. And I want to go to Florida, but then I'll be in Florida and it'll be so hot and humid. I hate Florida. I want to go to Colorado. Then I'll go to Colorado and go, oh, I hate Colorado because now it's snowing in May. You know, it's just, there's always something, or the bugs, or the, you know, the snakes, or hurricanes, or, you know, whatever. There's tornadoes. There's so many things that we can't control. And what we can control is, you know, happiness is we have to be in control of our own happiness. We have to be in control of our own moments. And that's why I love Gestalt so much, is because it helps you, at least me, to become fully aware of my feelings. Because when I drank, if I was sad, I drank. If I was happy, I drank. You know, I never moved through feelings. I only like felt them and then wanted to squash them. And I wanted to, you know, drown them. Let's just say drown. That sounds better when you're an alcoholic. I drowned every feeling that I had. And, you know, it kept me stuck in an emotional, you know, wave. We'll stick on that. You know, if I'm in that ocean being caught by all the waves, you know, I might as well, every time water came in, I tried to like scoop it out, but then another wave would come in, or the other way around, I would bring the water in. That's kind of what drinking does, is, and there wasn't enough water in my boat. So let me take a cup and empty it inside the boat. That's, you know, that to me was what drinking did, is it brought me down. It took me out of my awareness. It took me out of being present in my life. And, you know, to be honest, I didn't know that when I was drinking. I thought I was very present. But gosh, once the fog cleared away and I got to really understand what I was doing with my life and where I was in my life and how I was handling my emotions and in finding joy and happiness, you know, I was kind of dumbfounded of how I looked at life drunk.
You know, we talk about your parents. I know we hit that for a moment there, but since this goes all the way back, and if you started drinking even today, it could have been triggered from something in your childhood. But they say between 0 and 7, that's the most profound time in your life that really dictates the future. And as more and more of my journey, and I talk to people, that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm finding. So there might have been something back in your life that your parents didn't know how to work with.
Well, I also believe that genetics are a part of it. And I have a grandfather on both sides that were alcoholics.
Okay.
So it is a part of my background. And like my kids have a grandfather on both sides of theirs that were alcoholics. So I do believe that it is a disease that carries through, you know, genetics. And is it everything? I don't know. You know, I wonder if I had more awareness of my drinking, if I would have stopped earlier before I became that pickle. That's what it is if, you know, once you're a pickle, once you're all that stuff is in your skin and in your body, and, you know, the vinegar is absorbed everywhere.
Becomes a part of you.
You can't take that vinegar out.
It's not just something you're doing. Now it's a part of you.
Right.
It's around you. It's around you. But you did say something that I haven't heard in a long time. And that's the D word, disease.
Disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I have to believe it's a disease. I really do, because once the alcohol is in you, once I start drinking it, once I put that poison, for me, I have to think of it as that poison inside my body, that's when my disease kicks back up. You know, if I never drank alcohol, if I never made it a big part of my life, you know, I don't know if I, oh gosh, it's, you know, I think about it so much. And I remember when I was 16 years old and the first time I drank, that it was such a powerful thought for me. I was different than my friends right away. So if I never drank alcohol, I probably would have never gotten this disease, obviously. But the minute I drank it, it became like the vinegar already in the pickle. It already was my vinegar. I was already a pickle. And that's different from my other friends. You know, my other friends would have a couple drinks and say, that's enough. And you've said that you can do that and say that's enough. And, you know, I never had enough. And, you know, that's scary for me to think about because of what I said a little earlier, because one drink is still, you know, it's not going to be enough for me. And, you know, when I was drinking, I was also gambling a little bit. And that kind of was the same thing, you know, if I went there with $100, I ended up spending 200. You know, I had to be pulled out of there too. So it's in there.
Would you say because of, you know, call it an addiction to alcohol, would you say you had other addictions as well? Maybe to gambling, as you just said.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. And I know that about myself. I know that when I do something, I kind of go to extremes. You know, I know that if I would have started like taking pills on top of alcohol or using weed on top of alcohol, I pulled back from doing those things because it played with my mind right away. So I caught myself because I knew that I was already addicted to alcohol, even though I didn't admit it. I would not admit it to anybody except for myself a little bit. But, you know, as soon as I started, my son had Ritalin, and I thought about that Ritalin, I don't know how many times in my life while he was on it, wondering if it would make me feel different and better and happier. And, you know, I never took it. I never opened that bottle and put it, but I looked at it. I thought about it. It was on my mind. I wanted it to change who I was. I wanted another change, and alcohol wasn't doing it. So what's next? You know, a lot of people do that, and they pick it up.
Yep.
And they pick it up, and they, you know, the drugs pot becomes heroin, and heroin becomes meth. And, you know, oh, that was fun, so let's do this. That was different, let's do that. I'm still not healthy. I'm still not good. You know, I had a friend who smoked a lot of pot, but didn't drink very much. And then she would try to go off pot, and I noticed that she started drinking a little bit more. So she, you know, she still wanted whatever it was that for her, you know, that was bothering her to go away, to get that feeling of numbness, you know, whatever that of being high gives you. You know, I don't know. I don't believe everybody drinks or smokes to be numb.
What about escapism?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's all kind of the same umbrella, I guess, whether you're escaping or trying to find happiness or numbing a feeling or you know, changing, you're afraid of something, your fear, and, you know, there's so many things that we pick up a bad habit, like you said, and changing that habit not only changes us, it changes our families, it changes our relationships. You know, when I was an alcoholic, my family had to you know, my family wasn't living an alcoholic life too, even though not every one of them drank, but they were living an alcoholic life too. They had to go in the ups and downs of my if I was hungover, I was in a bad mood. So my family felt that bad mood. When I was drinking, I was maybe in a happier mood, and they might have been embarrassed about how I was acting. And, they would have friends come over and maybe they hid to stay away from me. Or maybe I was in that sweet spot where I was kind of fun and they would come in and join me. And then all of a sudden I got sober and I started, I had a little depression going on. I was trying to figure out how to be happy again. And, my family felt that. And then, I had a son who started drinking a little bit more, or I just started to see him drinking a little bit more, and that wore on me. That was a family disease. So, addiction is a family disease, whether you're in it or not in it. They're down in the mud with you and they're up in the happiness cloud with you, whether you're in recovery or in the addiction. When we make changes in our life, the family in your relationships, whether it's a loved one or your immediate family or your work relationships, they're used to what you bring to them, who you show up as. And then all of a sudden you change who you show up as and you see differently. I'm taking the beer goggles off and I'm putting on different clear, and I'm noticing things that they're doing that I let go before, or I didn't, I never noticed, or I didn't even see, I process it differently. And now all of a sudden I'm showing up and going, hey, that wasn't very nice to say. And also the people in our relationship systems all change too. And it's kind of, it's an interesting cycle. So whether you're in the addiction or just getting out of the addiction, or you've been sober for a while and your life is changing, there's so many ways that the horses, can help. I went out and I was letting my horses out. And as I was picking, I have one mare that she's older. So she comes in a different pasture at nighttime to get fed, and she gets different feed and all that. So I was with her and I was going to bring her into a different pasture. And she was hiding in a lean-to that we have outside. And as soon as I went in there, the rain came. So she must have known it was coming. But she goes and hides in this lean-to, and I'm just standing in there for about 10 minutes. Her and I just stood in there because I know how much she hates the rain. So we're just standing in there, and I took that moment to be in my moment, to meditate, to pray, I even try to read their animal communication. I try to see if I can listen to her, and nothing came up while I was there, but I do try that kind of stuff. I do believe in that too, that we can sometimes hear what a horse or animals say to us.
And likewise.
Yeah.
They're listening, and in my journey, the exchange of energy is not just between people, it's also between animals. And I know exactly what you're talking about. By the way, I wish I was in that lean-to with you, because it just seems like just a moment that
I stood with my hands on her back and her forelock, which is where the mane ends, and I just leaned on her, and she stood there as calm as could be, and I just laid my head on her and gave her my body, my stomach, my heart, everything, and just help me find my joy today, because it was raining and I was not happy that I was outside in 34 degrees again and rain. So it was like, help me find my happiness. That's what I was praying for out there with her. And sometimes it's not easy. Emotions are a difficult trail to go through.
Totally.
But we all go through them. We definitely all go through them. Even if you're in addiction and you're numbing them, you're just not going to the other side. You're still processing them, but you're just staying stuck, and, I want to unstuck you. The horses are walking around in this mud sometimes. I have muddy places in my pasture. Not every space is muddy, but I do have places that get kind of muddy. And, my foot yesterday was stuck in the mud, and, I had to like squeeze it and turn it and pull it out. And I know that the horses have to do that too. And, that's what addiction is to me. It's being stuck in the mud. And, I want us all to get our foot unstuck and walk with a purpose, walk with pleasure, walk with happiness.
Yeah. Well, thankfully you're there to help people out because you've walked the walk. And sometimes we walk forward, sometimes we take a step back. As we're talking right now, I think of the song by Billy Joel, I Go to Extremes. Because sometimes you do in life. It's like, I admit it, one day, today sucks, man. There's a lot of stuff, whatever it might be. And then the next day I was like, you know what? It isn't as bad as I thought it was.
Right.
Littlest thing pops in my head. It's like, and it's not like I'm being negative, but it's just like there are extremes where it's like, all right, well, the next second could be a happy moment. Or it might not get here. So we always can't forget about that,
Yeah. I post things in Facebook, and today I have a blue roan horse, and her name is Blue. A lot of people name their blue roan horses Blue. I don't know why, but her name is Blue. And one of the things I put in there was, blue is associated with depression and sadness. And blue is also the sky looking up and seeing that bright, beautiful blue. So, she's saying, look up instead. Hope you look up today and find your good blue. And you said a song, the one that hit me is Blue Ain't Your Color, which is by Keith Urban. We don't look good in our blues, but blue is a beautiful color to look good in.
Well, I have to disagree with you, but
you're wearing blue today.
I am. Tell everybody, Kathy, how they connect with you and how they can learn more about you and just talk to you if they're having some challenges and how you can help them.
Yeah, well, your first consultation is free, and you can find me at Kathy, Kathy, at oneneighatatime.com, or go on to my website and read about what I have to offer. And that's at www.oneneighatatime.com. On there, you can sign up for my VIP email, what I send out every month, and anything that I have to offer, and, all about me. And I have some blogs on there, a lot of information on addiction and horses and how we can help you.
Yep. And also blue is the #1 trust color. So trust that things can get better. And will be better. Yeah.
Yeah. Blue is a beautiful color. It really is. So
it is.
I hope you have a good blue day, looking up at the sky and letting all the stuff go. So let it go, let the crap go, let the blue depression go, and look up and find the blue of the sky and find happiness up there.
Because if it's cloudy, it's going to be sunny. That's a given. That's a given. Always great.
We have to find our sunshine sometimes, and that's what I have to do today. I got to find my sunshine, and I hope you guys do too. Thank you for
talking with you, Kathy.
having me on. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
All right. We'll be right back.
Have you ever wondered how a horse could help you in your recovery? Well, my name is Kathy Slagter, and I'm an equine master gestaltist. And what I do is help you find your passion and purpose in your recovery. My website is www.oneneighatatime.com. And you may also contact me through email at Kathy with a K, ATHY, at oneneighatatime.com. Can't wait to hear from you, and I'll see you in the barn.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you can now listen live on the MyTuner Radio and online Radio Box apps for iOS, Android, and the Amazon App Store. Or check us out online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on onlineradiobox.com/US so you don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.